Hi and welcome. On this short video, I'd like to talk briefly about multi-level marketing or MLM schemes and what our response should be to them as Christians. We'll look at what they are, how we can recognize them, and then we'll look at whether we should be involved in them or even recommend them as Christians. Before we get there, let me just explain who I am and why I have an interest in such schemes. My name is Dan. I've been an entrepreneur working in digital marketing and e commerce for over 10 years. I'm a director of several companies, and I have in the past worked with and for large investment banks working in the area of stockbroking and asset management. I've seen how people make money, I've seen how people lose money when investing, and as an entrepreneur, I know that to make money from the ground up, you have to have a solid product or service and you have to work hard. So you can imagine my concern when I see these schemes that come around every now and then promising a surefire return on investment for doing very little, often it's called passive income. And usually, all you need to do is to pay for some kind of membership in a scheme or company and then encourage other people to do so as well. Now, if this is the secret to making money, then I've spent the last decade of my life working hard as an entrepreneur for absolutely no reason because there was an easier and quicker way to make a living. But are these schemes the holy grail that they promise to be? Firstly, let's just talk about what a multi level marketing scheme means. Sometimes people call them pyramid schemes, but that name sometimes has negative impressions for people. So these schemes tend to call themselves multi level marketing schemes, which sounds a bit more acceptable. These schemes work on the basis that someone buys into the scheme and then encourages others to buy into the scheme below them. So what happens is you get one person here gets people to buy in below, and eventually you end up with this kind of pyramid where you've got more and more people buying in at every level as you go down. Now you then get payouts or benefits based on the people that buy in below you to a certain number of levels. So you make your revenue by growing the levels beneath you in your little part of the network. And usually there are all sorts of perks or incentives as you grow those levels. You get titles of, gold agent or regional champion or a distributor, premium distributor or names like that. And you may get other real perks like holidays, or one that I see quite a bit is all expenses paid trips to international conferences. It's quite a popular one, or even cash bonuses. So none of this sounds bad in itself. And depending on what you're selling, there might be some value to it. For example, companies like Amway, Manatech, and Herbalife and Saladmaster, they're all multi-level marketing schemes. Now, you may or may not like the products they're selling, but they are actually selling something tangible. Amway sells domestic goods, Manatech and Herbalife sell nutritional supplements and foods, and Saladmaster sells cookware, which, to the best of my knowledge, is pretty good quality cookware. So, when is a multi-level marketing scheme a bad thing? Well, it becomes a problem when the scheme sells something that has less intrinsic value in the product it sells than the amount you pay for it, or when they sell you a promise that has little to no intrinsic value at all. If you invest in these schemes, then the only way to make your money back is to sign up members below you. They, in turn, can only make money by signing up members below them, and so on and so forth. Eventually, the pyramid has to run out of people to sign up. The market is never infinite. People at the top of the pyramid make money, sometimes make lots of money, but the lots and lots of people at the bottom of the pyramid will lose money or lose investment somewhere. Again, if it's something that sells something real and tangible like Amway, then the people at the bottom of the pyramid will still end up with something. Albeit overpriced toothpaste or something, but you can still use that toothpaste. You still have something for it. If it's a scheme that sells nothing of real value or something of less value than you paid, then you lose out. Take, for example, Carrot Bars, which was a scheme I heard of last year. You buy a membership, which apparently gives you a tiny piece of real gold, but the intrinsic value of that gold that you've bought is much less than you would have got if you just bought gold from a dealer. In other words, you buy a little piece of gold from them as part of your membership, but you would have got much more gold if you'd just gone to a dealer. You've paid for overpriced gold. You've paid extra to be a member. To make the value of the difference in value up to what the gold is really worth, you now have to sign up more members. They in turn get overpriced gold, and then to make up their difference, they have to sign up more members, and so on and so forth. You might make your money back because you might make up that difference by signing up members and getting a kickback on the signups that you've made, but somewhere down the line, there are going to be lots of people left with overpriced gold they can't make the difference on. They're going to lose out. Some of the schemes, they give you even less than that. Some promise investments in companies or share equivalents or promises of shares in a company when it's listed. Ultimately, the shares in these companies are usually worthless, and the promises even more so. If a company is really such a great investment, then there are legitimate ways for them to get investment. Stock markets, alternative stock markets, venture capital funds, established crowdfunding platforms. There's other ways they can raise revenue. If the only way that company wants to get investment in their company is via multi-level marketing, then it can pretty much guarantee that a lot of people somewhere down the pyramid are going to be losing a lot of money. So, how can you know if that great investment that your friend wants to involve you in is a multi level marketing scheme that you should steer clear of? Now, it can be quite hard to tell because every multi level marketing scheme has a slightly different spin or selling line that they use to mask its true nature. The taglines usually talk about things like the next big thing, or the untapped value of something, or the unknown market that will be the future, or whatever it is. They try and put a gloss on it, but underneath, it's just the same thing. It's a multi-level marketing scheme that's selling you empty promises or overpriced goods. To clear away all that confusion, just ask yourself this one simple question. Is the product you are receiving as payment for your membership in the scheme worth the amount you are paying alone, even if you don't recruit a single member? If so, and you truly believe that that cookware you're buying or the toothpaste you're buying is worth your investment that you're getting, worth the investment you're paying, then go for it. You've got something that you thought was worth the amount you've paid. But if the only way that you can realize and get back the value of your investment is to recruit other people, it's a bad scheme. And someone somewhere is going to lose out because someone somewhere is not going to be able to recruit and is going to lose their investment. Maybe not you, but someone, lots of someones. And probably the people that lose out are going to be people that can't afford to lose that investment. So, how can we and should we as Christians respond to multi level marketing? Again, I would have to draw a distinction, a line between the multi level marketing schemes that are selling real goods and services and those that aren't. In my personal experience, those who get involved with the schemes that are selling real products, uh, they are kind of at worst a bit annoying at pushing their goods. I really, really don't want to hear someone extolling the amazing benefits of Manatech to me all over again. My personal advice, if you want to get involved in one of these schemes, is to consider how much you really want to abuse or jeopardize your friendships before you sign up to those kind of schemes. However, for the schemes that sell overpriced goods or investment promises, then I think we're bringing ourselves and the gospel of Christ into disrepute by getting involved in them for many reasons, but here's just two. Firstly, someone in these schemes will lose money. We may not, maybe even the people we recruit may not, but someone somewhere will. And what does it say to the world if we as Christians are happily taking advantage of others? We're no better than the swindlers in 1 Corinthians that the Bible talks about if we're cheating people out of their money to make more money ourselves. Not only that, but the people that we're most likely to take advantage of, albeit unknowingly, are those people who are usually desperate or vulnerable themselves. People that often trust us, personal friends of ours, and we're abusing that trust. That's not to say that when we get involved in these schemes, we deliberately intend to do that. We often get involved in them for perfectly noble reasons. We think it's a good opportunity. But when we actually understand what's happening behind the scenes, then we are actually taking advantage of people, even if we don't mean to. And somewhere Sooner or later, this thing is going to collapse. Secondly, the money we have is not ours. It's God's, so we've been called to steward it well. And every aspect of our lives should be accountable to those people that God has placed over us to shepherd us. If we're in a church that leads us well, then there's no way that our leaders would ever be able to sanction investment in this kind of multi-level marketing scheme that has no real value. So if we invest in one, then we're certainly not walking in full accountability. And that should be one of the hallmarks of us as Christians, is that we do walk in accountability. I do understand the temptation of these schemes, particularly when the economic environment is chaos and people are losing jobs and all kinds of things. They do promise much, and to some, they do deliver. People do make money at the top of the pyramid out of these kind of schemes. I've been through good times and bad times myself. I know what it's like to not know how you're going to pay your bills at the end of the month. But we need to rely on our brothers and sisters in Christ rather than the promises of the world to sustain us. One day we will be called to account for how we've witnessed to the world, and I, for one, would rather say that I reflected Jesus even in my hunger rather than the world in my satisfaction. I do hope this has been helpful, and if you do have further questions and queries about these things, then I do encourage you to speak to the local leadership in your own church.